So something that's not obvious is that all knowing includes a knower. All knowing comes with a knower built in. You can't have knowledge without a knower. And so that's why at this meeting, we sometimes talk about it's a meeting about unknowing or not knowing, and that there's nobody who knows that. As Dan pointed out in one of his videos, knowledge is built. And I really like that. Knowledge is built, it's constructed. It's put together, we say, with thoughts. But what's already here, just here, present, live, isn't being built. And so that's why nobody knows this. I was listening to Rosemary Rose. I don't know if any of you have heard of her, Rosemary Rose, but she said something kind of funny in an interview she did with Walter. She said that this is just too simple because it doesn't require any knowledge, any knowing, any understanding. And she said, you know, in a way, that's a terrible thing. Right? Because we're so used to knowing. That's our wheelhouse. Give me something to know, Michael. Please tell me. I want to know. And this can't be known. So I never really thought of it that way, but in a way, it is kind of a terrible thing that it can't be known. Because I'm going to keep trying to know. That's, you know. That's the impossible dream.
Well, and it seems as if there's like no other way because it's kind of, I guess, I don't know this, but from day one, the way it's been the only, it's been how I thought everything was known. So, and then even, and so this whole experience is different because insight or a knowing will kind of seemingly happen or come in, and then what feels like immediately the knowing thought comes in and like tells you more about it or talks about it, or so it's probably not tricky. That's just another way of describing, or the mind telling you something about the way it is, but at the same time it's like, yeah, laughably simple and yeah, like right there and feeling like ungraspable or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Put your mute. Go ahead and take the mute off. I'm not, let's get, no, I love it. I love it. So you said tells you, right?
Hmm.
Tells you. So who is this you, right? Let's put our finger on that one, because there's a sense that there's a me here, that all this information is sort of being funneled to.
Right.
But is that true? Is there a real separate me there? Or is that also more knowledge? Even the feeling is known. So that's knowledge too, which we don't tend to think of a feeling as built out of knowledge. We think it's me, but it's not. It's just a feeling. And the quality of that feeling is of a me. But
It seems here, it seems like if I turn to it, and then again, it's like a me, but I can't find a me. I can, if I put my attention, like it's not felt that, this is mine body. Like if I just, I can kind of feel into these spaces all the time, but I feel like I'm telling a story by explaining it, but there's no other way. And then I know that I'm also probably telling some little story that all the eyes coming out in all my sentences, I don't know. I can't, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I feel like I've looked for me and gone, okay, it's with no words. How could there be a me here? And so it's just this. But not quite.
go ahead, Dan. You got something?
No, yeah. It's beautiful. That looking for the me is the me. That's the me. And everything that shows up is that story of me. But there's nothing inside of it. There's no one that it's about. The one who it's about is part of the story, right? So all there is story here. And everything that shows up, it seems like it relates to a me, but that is the story. That is the appearance. And so you can keep looking and see, well, who's looking, who's the one who's looking. And you won't find anything because the looking is it. And the feeling is it. And when it feels like it's about the idea that it's about me, that there's, anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we end up saying there's just this, because what's left without the story, that isn't the story is showing up, being built, but it's not about anyone. It doesn't relate to anything, to any you. Jenny is just this thing going on, and you are not that. You're nothing.
Dan had said something 2 weeks ago when I was here, and I've kind of like felt it's either come in before here but I keep kind of coming back. It was a moment, you just said it real quickly, but you said something, I can't remember exactly how the dialogue was going, but you said, well, you're not thinking, like, you basically said, like, well, you're not thinking about it right now. Like, it's like, before we're discussing it, there's no me here, there's no not me here, there's just here. It was like you'd said, well, you weren't thinking about it a second, it wasn't here a second ago. I don't care.
Yes, yeah. Well, I don't remember what I said, but
But I keep going back. That keeps coming back up. Like,
yeah, well, good.
where is it right here? When I'm looking for it, there it's the story,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
when I'm
it's
not
right here.
looking for it or not looking for it or just not even contemplating it, everything just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, and that's what's always here. That's what is. That's why we're always saying it's this. That's where we're always pointing to. And Nkosi is always pointing to. Yeah, right here. Because everything else is a memory, and the memory takes me, it's like a doorway into the story. And it's like like a running movie. And I check into the movie, and that's the story of Jenny and what's going on and what happened and where she's going, all that. But just here is none of that. So none of that is ever here. It's always in this, we could call it a mental story. It's like yeah, well, anyway, I don't know. You can talk. But yes, right here, right now, there's no story until we start thinking about it. Well, not even we, because there is no one to think about it. There's just this story that comes in, and it includes the so-called thinker.
But the moment you recognize the story, it's still not there because
Yeah,
you're looking back at it and it's always moving forward. Or not, but it's not moving
yeah. Well, you can't recognize the story because like you're saying, the moment you recognize the story, that's the story.
right.
And there's a story of somebody recognizing the story.
Yeah, that knowing includes the knower. You can't get around that. So even the looking, that's what Dan's saying, right? Even the activity of looking for the me includes someone who's looking for the me. Without the story, just here, without any story.
Nothing's happening.
And you can't get on top of this. You can't get it, but it doesn't need, you don't need to.
That's the part that Rosemary Rose was pointing that is really terrible. That you can't.
I feel like I've laughed about that myself because I felt like when you said that, I'm like, yes, I get that. I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
But it is terrible for the me. Everything we're saying here all the time is terrible for the me. Because the me just wants to survive and just be, leave me alone and let me be me, let me do my me thing. But there is no me. And that's pretty terrible for the me.
And a synonym for me is separation. Because the me is always and life. There's me and life, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no me without life. So that's the dilemma. The dilemma is you're starting from separation, and separation doesn't exist. So that's why Dan's saying there's no answer here.
The answer for me would be to finally get with life, to finally end that separation, which is what that's what seeking is. That's what the movement of me is, always to try to get, well, we call it get whole or get complete, get to wholeness, get to, well, we could say just get to life, because I'm separate from life and I'm trying to get rid of that separation. But that is never going to happen because the separation came first, and the separation is separating. And so, but yeah, you can see that never happened. This is what we're pointing to. That me experience isn't real. It didn't happen. It's an illusion.
Like a dream, right? Like a dream. A dream seems to happen, It appears as if it's real. It can even feel real when you're in the midst of a dream.
If there's no me, what caused the separation?
Oh, you're not going to like my answer.
Okay.
Nothing, because it never happened.
So then there's no getting back to it, or there's no, I think as Dan was saying, or somebody like, well, we go back to the non-separateness. It implies that we have to still go somewhere, that we're here as a me, feeling separated, but there's no me, there's no feeling separated.
No, there is a feeling of being separated. If there wasn't a feeling of being separated, this would not be of interest. No.
The feeling,
Well,
the
no,
feeling,
but Donna's right.
the feeling of being separated cannot be, because there is no separation.
Right.
So how could you have a feeling of being separate if there's no separation?
Well, it's an appearance. No, you're right.
Well,
It isn't real.
okay.
So it's a paradox. You can't answer it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like a rainbow. You know, does a rainbow really exist? Well, it seems to, but it's an appearance.
But the question of why is it, you know, why does it appear that way? Why does it appear like separation? You know, I mean, that's like, why is the world here? Why is the sun here? I mean.
So in terms of the really exist versus an appearance, how
Yeah.
I keep reflecting and looking and investigating what's the distinction between an appearance and really exist.
Right. Well, okay, Michael, you can hit that one. Well, okay, I'll just talk a little. So, I mean, there isn't any, is one way to say, because there isn't any distinction everywhere. There's just this, and that's all there is. But another way to answer that is that an appearance is an appearance of something. So if it's something, if it's a thing, then it's an appearance. The only thing that isn't an appearance is what we call this or nothing, or that doesn't have, we can't say it. It doesn't go into language. And it's this, but it isn't anything. It's everything.
That helps. It came up, Dan, and when Michael asked Jenny, is there a me? You know, is there actually a me? And so you go and look, and then you say, well, there is this appearance of a me, and so on and so forth.
Right.
I find it an interesting.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Now,
yeah, well, the me, when we say what is the me? The me is the thing that I say that I am. It's something called me that I say is here, and it's a thing that I am, and that starts a story of what that is. Yeah.
Right, and I can confirm, in my case, it's a deeply ingrained habit of having experienced life in this fashion for, I think some people say since age 3, I'm 69, so 60 some years for sure. I've been conditioning myself that there is a me.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So it becomes a second nature, just like the fish is no longer aware of the water.
Exactly. Right. But actually, it can be pretty obvious that that is not ever true. It just simply isn't what's here. Like we were saying with Jenny, just right this here doesn't have any of that. It doesn't have that big complicated story, layers and layers and layers of knowledge, knowing what I am, what everything in the world is. It's a big story, and it has some, like heaviness to it, density to it. And then of course there's feelings, it's made out of feelings also that go along with all of that. It's very complicated, but it's all based on nothing. And it is nothing. It actually is nothing again. And you can see just right here, because what we're really living is not any of that. It's this. It's whatever's going on, this, video, whatever the sounds in the room. That's all that's here. Yeah.
You were speaking, what came up was like a fabric woven from many, many different threads. And that's this big, thick story that becomes a thing that then is an appearance.
Yeah, exactly. And it comes from this first idea that I am a thing. I am something. I'm here. I'm in a world, and that isn't true. Yeah. Oh.
So I'm going to give another word, right? I said separation is a synonym for me. I'll give another synonym for me, and that is time. Time. Time is a concept. It doesn't really exist. We look at a clock on the wall, or we look at our watch and we see a number in two hands, and the concept of the meeting starts at 6 and it ends at 7 and like that. But that's all in story. Time is a concept. Me is a concept. Separation is a concept.
I'm a bit interested in animals and how they behave. And one of my favourite show at the moment is the Yorkshire Vet. I don't know if anybody knows of it, but anyway, so this vet is looking after animals, sheep that are having trouble giving birth to the babies, and cows that are, whatever. Oh, and all sorts of animals. And it's interesting to observe, or it's interesting to me to observe, do these animals have any sense of me? They seem to just do their thing, and I don't think they've got a sense of me. What do you reckon?
I've never spoken to a cow. I've never asked an animal. From just observing them, they don't seem to hang on to things. And that's the hallmark of the me, is the me has memory, and it seems to hang on to the past. I don't really get the sense that animals do that.
Yeah.
How about dogs, though, when they have a name and you call the name and they turn their head?
Yeah, it may be just a very little functional amount so they can get their food and water, but they don't sit there and go, that bastard didn't feed me. It's 4 o'clock. I'm supposed to be fed at 3. Son of a bitch, I'll get him. Now, they may pee. That's their own way, but it's not them doing it. It's all just happening. And that's the thing the me can never get around, is everything is just spontaneously happening without anyone doing anything.
Actually, in that sense, that's a good example what life is like when there isn't a me, or just, as you put it, a functional me. They will respond if I call their name. They hear the voice, and it happens. But that's a fascinating point, that they're just not taking things as personal as we tend to do.
Yeah. Hi, Nkosi, welcome.
Hi, Michael. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Nkosi.
Hi.
Yeah, with the animals, you know, they mate together, and they just seem to know what to do, but without this sense of a me. They're just,
Yeah.
it is happening. And I think it's a nice illustration of how life could be without a me.
Yeah, in a way, we could say the me is a credit taker and a blamer.
Mm.
And interestingly, it's considered an evolution from the animals.
You know, right? I know that's the arrogance of the me, that we're smarter than the animals.
Well, you know, but really, it isn't that the animals are doing something that's any different than what we're doing, let's say, or that you're doing, Faith, because there really isn't any faith that's doing anything.
Yeah.
There isn't faith life. There's just, we could say, life that is living everything, doing everything. And it's doing the animals, it's doing the planets, it's doing whatever it appears to be, but it's even that isn't really, it's really just this.
Mm.
So all of that other stuff is really a story. You
Yeah.
know, we're talking about, well, the animals are, you know, have this,
Mm.
but you're not living actually a confused life, or a life of somebody who thinks she's a person. All of that is just more of the story.
Mm.
There only is just this aliveness. Nobody will believe it. Nobody will take that seriously. But that's actually all that there is, and it includes everything. And then we make, you know, this appearance of a mind that can cut everything up into pieces and tell stories about how the pieces go together, or they seem to. But all that's alive is just this aliveness that's just this as it is. We can't even say what it is. Anyway.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. You bring me back to home base every time.
Back to nowhere.
Back to nowhere every time, yeah.
But the stories are good. We like the stories.
Yeah, they are good. Sometimes.
Vincenzo, do you have a comment or question?
Hello.
Who are you
go-
asking?
go
Hi.
ahead.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. go
Hello.
ahead.
Okay. So first of all, thank you. This is really good. I think so. My question is like when you guys say there's no me, like I can feel my dreams slowly dying, you know, because like there's no me, and uh, like I can feel like getting more into the present moment. And my question is, because like things become a little bit more beautiful, like things just in general without thought become more beautiful. And my question is, Like, is it the same as the present moment of like Eckhart Tolle? Like, is it just the same thing? Thank you.
Well, I wouldn't even call it a present moment. I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay.
the
I
best
would
we,
say,
sorry,
yeah, I
just,
mean, I would say generally speaking, it is the same. It's a little bit different. He uses a little bit different language, and there's certain things that are different, but generally, yeah, I think it is the same.
yeah, maybe in Nkosi, you could say a few words about just this.
Yeah, that's just everything. Somebody asking a question, somebody giving an answer, that's just everything. So there's already no me. There's already no me who's doing anything. That's just what's happening. The one who's seeking and the one who's giving an answer, or the one who's asking a question, the one who's giving an answer, it's just the same thing. So there's just this, what is? And what is, it doesn't have any intention to do anything. It's just what is. Somebody drinking a coffee, smiling, sitting on the chair. It's just what is. So this isn't going anywhere. There's no goal to reach already. There's nothing really to be done. There's nowhere to get to. That's just what's happening. And it's everything. Nothing is excluded. Somebody who appears to be struggling to get it is it already. Somebody who seems to be there is also it. So there's nothing apart from it. What seems to be a you looking for it is already it. So there isn't any separation here. There's no real person who can seek it and find it and claim to have found it, because that's just it. So this doesn't see separation. There's already nobody who's outside of it who can know it and have knowledge of it. That's just it. Well, it's not even an it. Nobody can know what this is, So they can be talking, happening about the me, but that doesn't mean that there's a real me who's talking. That's just what is appearing as a me. So there's already no real me. So it doesn't really matter what's happening, because what seems to be happening has got nothing to do with the me. It's got nothing to do with you. And the you who's separated is just imaginary. And when that imagination is looked for by no one, it cannot be found. It's nothing at all. Even compulsive thinking, a thought after thought that seems to be going on, when it is looked for, is already not there. So it's as if it never even happened. So I would say there are no thoughts. There's nobody here. There are no people, there are no animals, there are no trees. There's nothing. It's just what is. To say that there are trees, people, planets, those are just labels. And labels are just imaginary. So everything is this. They can never be a real person who's looking for an answer, who's asking a question. Here, that is seen as just everything. Wholeness, asking a question. It's not seen as real somebody who's asking a question. So to give an answer to that question or not give an answer is the same, because there's no real somebody who can actually receive an answer, can get an answer, because there's nobody here. There's just wholeness appearing as that. So there's just everything here. Separation is just a thought. There's no real separation. There's no real Nkosi, there's no real Michael, there's no real Dan. There's just wholeness appearing as that. So this is actually going nowhere. It's just what is. It's just a play. It's a movie. But nobody's watching it. So there are no problems. There are no problems. Problems seem to appear when there is an idea that I'm somebody who's living life, then problems will appear for that one. That one is imaginary, and including the problem that one is facing. It's just imaginary. When that one seems to disappear and the problems, they disappear together with him. And it's recognized that that one never even existed in the first place. So are the problems that one was facing. So there's nothing here.
Would situations be an acceptable word for it? There is situations. As an alternative to just what is, there are situations.
Situations. Well, it doesn't really matter. You can call it everything. You can call it problems, situations, troubles, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter at all. Words have limitations. Words have their own limitations. This is wordless. There are no words here. There's just sound appearing, and the sound seems as if the meaning was imposed in it. Then when the bird is chirping, then it's not actually saying anything, it's just chirping. But if you can give a meaning to that chirping, then it will seem as if, oh, okay, yeah. Somebody will seem to understand what the bird is saying. But it's just a noise, it's just a sound. There is no meaning to anything. It's just this. Everything is this. Nothing is excluded. And this doesn't know anything at all. It doesn't know anything. Doesn't exist. Nobody exists. What seems to be everything is already nothing. There's nowhere to get to. So anything may arise. It doesn't really matter. A question may arise, an answer may be given. Somebody may cough, somebody may stand up to go to the loo. Somebody may scratch the head, smile. It doesn't matter. It's just what's happening. And it's not happening to anybody. It's just what seems to be happening. It's not really happening. It seems to be happening. Somebody who seems to be asking a question, that's wholeness asking a question. Somebody giving an answer, that's wholeness giving an answer. Somebody standing up, walking away, that's wholeness walking away. That's everything. So this doesn't mind.
So what happens doesn't change wholeness.
So I wanted to give Chenzo a little better answer about Eckhart, because I didn't really quite say it. I mean, I would say what we're saying is really, he's saying the same thing, but there is a real big difference in a way. And that would be that he really does talk about the now as something that you can get into, as something that you can find. And he tends to talk to a person and kind of tell them, you know, think how to get into the now, you know, something you can do to be more now. And that's not really part of what we talk about here. But apart from that, it's basically the same thing. So that's maybe an important distinction. But it's just language.
Oh, okay.
I would say it's just language. You know, that's what I would personally say. But, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks. Thank you.
So again, that there's nothing to do is terrible news for the me. Because the me, I'm all about doing. Let me do the right thing. Let me get to the bottom of this. Let me know what this is. And so we talk about effortless and obvious. It's just obvious. It's not known. Nothing is known about this. So Nkosi and myself have talked about if that resonates with you, that's it. There's just, you can't even explain what resonance means. Just somehow something in you just says yes. Even if there's a feeling of a me there, so what? It's just what seems to be happening. But like a cloud, it passes. Peter writes, yes, wholeness doesn't have a bridge as there are no parts. Any last comments or questions before we close out this evening? Jenny?
Well, I was just going to say when you said, because you don't go through your day feeling like, oh, I feel like this was, I think, what I was getting at before that Dan had said. I don't go through my day feeling like there's a me here, there's a me here, there's a me here, there's a me here. You know, you're going through your day. I'm talking right now. I'm not even, there's just talking happening. I'm not thinking there's a me talking, and I'm, so it, you know, I guess just that. It's when you turn and look, and then there's a thought that comes in. You know, I don't feel the way that I think I should feel if this, the way that you guys are feeling. You know, I don't have that. And then at this, then I also hear Kosi saying, and that's all it anyway. So what the heck, you know, even that is still. But if
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's no me, there's a me here. If I'm not putting my attention, or if there's not this thought, there's a me here. And there looks like you're telling me there's not a me here. And, you know, but without those thoughts and that attention on those thoughts.
Well, like Jenny, so when you're speaking, right, there's this sort of feeling, belief that I'm speaking and now Michael's speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually not what we're saying. And Nkosi says it quite often. It's the same one. It's wholeness speaking now. These words is not Michael, it's wholeness. And Jenny speaking is also wholeness speaking.
It's just sounds coming from wholeness, and it's not even that. It's because that's all.
It's wholeness doing everything. So the wholeness is the birds chirping, it's your children voices, it's everything.
Yeah, but you got it. I mean, it's just Jenny talking. Always, whatever. It's just Jenny talking or Jenny doing whatever she seems to be doing. And then, yeah, okay, there's this other thing of these thoughts of, well, but I don't have it. And I'm all, all that other stuff, but that's not real. It doesn't really, is there's just Jenny talking. That's all there ever is. Just Jenny appearing to do whatever she appears to do. And that's what anybody has. There's nobody that has something else. And there's nothing that Jenny's going to get that's something else. The me idea is that there's something else. And it's not it. This isn't it. And I'm somehow got to get something else that would be it. But that's just a crazy idea. It's just the imagination. But in the meantime, it doesn't matter because there's just Jenny talking, just Jenny sitting, Jenny doing whatever. And there's nobody looking at that. There's nobody knowing it or living it. It's all this. Anyway. But I think you're onto something.
That's when I find the two words that I love, already. Well, already, you know what already means. We're already this. And the other word, there's no escape. Those two words come to me, and yeah.
Yeah, the me is trying to escape from itself. But that's just a story. It doesn't concern anybody. Because, I mean, who would need an escape from what is? But yes, of course, there's no escape because there's only what is. And the me is like this idea of trying to escape from what is to get into what is or something. I mean, it's just crazy. It doesn't even make sense. Fortunately, it's imagination.
And wholeness can look like anything. You know, the apparent spiritual seeker has this image of love, light, and bliss. And when I get there, that's how I'll know, because we'll be love, light, and bliss. Let me tell you something. War, fighting, shooting is this just as much. It's all this.
Yeah, well, what seems to be the me is just imaginary. There is no real me. So that's why I always say nobody's ever said anything, nobody's ever done anything. A thought that says there's a me who's talking, that's just a thought. It doesn't mean that there's a real me who's talking. It's just talking, happening on its own. There's nobody who's doing it. Because when the me is looked for, can never be found. Even the one who's looking. So there's nothing here. Well, the body is innocent.
Yeah. Yeah, the me doesn't have a source. That's what it means by it's imagined. So look, we're at the end of our meeting and we haven't gotten anywhere.
There's no one here to get anywhere.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll get there tomorrow. Or maybe tonight, hopefully. I hope.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much for coming, each and every one of you. We so appreciate all of you for coming. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody.
Michael.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys. Thank you, Nkosi.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone.